else.
Pleasure.
So tell us a little bit about it. It's set sort of in the near future, isn't it?
Yes, it's supposed to be 2012, although it should be pretty recognisable as something that's very much in tune with what's happening now, both in surveillance culture, with security alerts, with terrorist threats, and with how the kind of culture between government and the individual is changing. And you know, it's kind of fallen into our laps in a way, and it's very appropriate that I'm talking about it here, because every day there seems to be a breaking story about data that's gone missing, or corruption or encryption being cracked, and it's an ongoing debate, isn't it? That how much is our personal security actually worsened by all being collated centrally into one database?
Has it made you very sort of paranoid? You see the cameras.
You do.
You start thinking about it.
I mean, in London alone, there's over 25,000 of the things staring at us, and there's over 12 different types of speed and traffic cameras. I mean, they are everywhere, and there are even those ones now I hear that sort of pick up conversations at a sort of range as well. And it's not creepy in a sinister way. It just actually makes you feel a little less secure, personally. Anyway, if I see a whole plethora of cameras, I worry a bit more about why they're there rather than what they're doing for me.
And there's not a lot we can do to avoid them, is there?
No,
right?
there
I mean,
isn't.
where can you can't get away from it. There to see half the time you don't know that they're even there.
The glorious countryside.
Yes.
That's where the revolution will come from, I reckon.
Have you become a bit of an instant expert on these things now? With the
quick with the figures. Yeah, well, slightly. I mean, because it is an extraordinary topic, and I think it's something that's going to become more and more prevalent in our lives. You know, terrorism as an act, unfortunately, can be carried out by an individual. So how does a state protect against that? And that's where the title comes from, the idea that the last enemy could be an individual. Yeah, no, it does. It really awakens you to those things, and it does politicise you a bit. And without going, and I don't think the programme does either. I think it's a fair balance, because obviously we have to do something to protect ourselves in very volatile times. But at the same time, it has to be measured with cooperation, I think, rather than a state-individual divide, which is what could happen.
Tell us a little bit about your character as well, because he's very he's incredibly intelligent mathematician, also with OCD.
Yes.
So
they crammed it all in.
They did, didn't they? Kind of comfy.
Yeah,
so he's always
cranky,
washing
as you
his
probably
hands
saw from that
and
clip.
stuff,
Yes, he's washing his hands, and he's very concerned about being involved in the world at all. I mean, he's a typical sort of accidental hero, really, because you can imagine someone with worse qualifications to do anything about the adventure that he gets involved in. But what was fun, I think, for Peter Berry as him as a model, and for me to play as well, is that you start off with this very closed-off, sensorily deprived man who does a very clean aesthetic away from the world, and then all this dynamite gets thrown at him, quite literally in some cases, and metaphorically, with this love affair that kicks off. And you know, it's he gets brought out of his shell, basically, as the programme develops.
We've got another clip we can have a look at now, so you can tell us what happens. Let's have a look first.
So just tell us a little bit about that. It becomes a love story later, but
well, yeah, but that's the first time I meet my brother's widow, and I've just come home, literally, from the funeral, and I've discovered someone, and as being an OCD hypochondriac, as I mentioned, this is the first bit of dynamite that's being lobbed underneath the character. So I come into the bedroom and just see that there's what looks like a dying body in there.
In the house that you share with him, yeah?
Yes, which is a flat which has a sort of open door policy when I'm not around, and I haven't been for 5 years. I've been off doing research and work in China, so it was a double surprise that there should be anybody there, because Michael, obviously being dead, you'd imagine there wouldn't be anyone at all, and then there's this body and his widow, and I didn't even know he was married.
Let's talk a little bit about Atonement, because you're in Atonement, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
And BAFTA winning.
BAFTA winning,
the
Oscar
film.
nominated,
Very
Golden Globe winning.
exciting.
It's very exciting. Yeah, it is really exciting. It's extraordinary, and it's a real privilege to be part of something that special. You kind of get the sense, or got the sense rather, that it would be. I mean, the book itself is such an.
I was going to say, are there any?
Force through the letterbox.
Are there any big? So the Hollywood has not quite knocked on the door yet again, or?
Oh no, they're knocking, but that's,
Good.
you know, they're being
But
knocking
you won't
without
let them
any
in.
scripts at the moment.
Oh.
There's a writer's strike which has just been resolved, which is great. But no, I'll definitely let them in if the script fits. Enough of the door metaphor. I don't know quite how to continue.
Yeah, revolving
you say
door,
yes.
maybe.
Yeah,
In perpetual motion.
Exactly.
Lovely. Well, good luck with the series. It's just
Thank
started.
you very much.
Nice
Yes.
to see you here this morning.
And you can see it as well. We should tell viewers as well. You can see Benedict in The Last Enemy. It's at 9 o'clock. It's on Sunday nights on BBC
And
One.
the DVD comes out something like the 10th of March as well.
There you go.
You're good with this stuff.
can come
These
back.
facts, figures.
Very close to that.
Very good. Nice to see you.
Lovely to meet you.